Hey YouTube, I decided to make this kind of a series, maybe once a week, just video game stuff, speculation, so on. Anyway, so with E3 coming up, I thought I would take a look at something I actually want and could happen. I'm talking about Super Smash Bros. DLC. And the one thing I wanted to talk about was a character I think that could show up. In this case, it's Neku Sakuraba from The World Ends With You and Kingdom Hearts 3D. I think he can show up for a couple of different reasons. Well, I will admit his game is not as popular as some of Square Enix other games. Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts all spring to mind immediately. I think Neku has something that no one else there does, and I'm going to break it down into that really quickly. Not actually part of it, but what is important is that Neku has only ever premiered his games on Nintendo consoles. The World Ends With You premiered on the DS, though it was put on the iOS and Android markets several years later. And Kingdom Hearts 3D so far has only been on the 3DS, though there have been some rumors that Kingdom Hearts 3 will be put on a PlayStation console, but those are not anywhere near confirmed right now. So to start off, Neku has a very unique battle system. In The World Ends With You, Neku fights using pins, which is a lot cooler than it sounds. Each pin gives Neku an ability, except for the money pins, or a couple of other ones. Most of them either does something for Neku fighting-wise, or increases a stat or something. There are at least 30 pins that Neku can use, but Neku can only put on 6 at a time. These abilities can run from creating an uppercut, from slashing on the screen, to doing fire attacks, to spinning slashes, to connecting electricity. There are a lot of options, and that means a lot of options to use for Neku. Because with the pin list being so vast and different to fit pretty much any playstyle, then that means that the pins that Neku can use in Super Smash Bros. Will be just as varied, leaving not only a lot of options for Neku in his standard set, but also in his expanded set, which will make him a unique fighter, in addition to the mixture of our mage casters and our sword bearers, because Neku can be pretty much neither or a mix of both. So we just need to pick out. I'm not going to sort into which ones are going to be the side smash, basic attack, throws, anything like that. I'm not going to deal with that. But he can work with that. Admittedly, I'm not sure what we're going to do about jumping, because that's not really a thing there, but maybe he can temporarily grow Angel or Reaper wings, which would be pretty cool. The second thing is Neku already has a final smash. In the game, there is something called fusion. Neku has to work with a partner. It's how the game is set up, it's how it works, and when I say the game, I mean both in and out of it. And because of that, they have team-up moves, and you can gradually upgrade them throughout the game. So you can do any of the moves he does with his partners Shiki, Joshua, or Beat, but there's also a move that uses all three of them together to beat the final boss, which falls more into the beam category. So I could see I'll put a link in the description of what it looks like, but I could see maybe adapting something like that, because it would be similar to the ones already. And it would be a pretty powerful attack, which would be nice. The final thing I can see that is a minor point, that is a point though for Neku, is clothing is actually a very big part of the game, and I'm being drop dead serious. The game is based on the youth culture of Shibuya. That's how I've heard it pronounced. And with that youth culture, clothes are important, and where clothes are sold, they're more likely to be popular, which gives you a stat boost and makes it more likely for you to win. And so actually part of the game is trying to figure out whether the natural stat boosts of the clothes are something you want to use and then just fight to make it more popular, or to accept the fact that you're not going to change your clothes to get the stat boost. And then there are the ones at the bottom of the popularity list. You do see the popularity list. And at the bottom of the ones actually get a stat deduction. But the point I'm trying to make with all this is that not only are there 13 at least clothing stores, they all have a wide variety of clothes themselves, and you get to see them. Not on Neku, and they're like tiny, tiny pixely squares, but they do actually exist, which does mean that Neku's ultimate costumes are already set up. In fact, they have more than enough. And unfortunately, they probably cut out La Pin Angelique, which is the Gothic Lolita stuff. And yes, I'm serious, Neku can wear it. So that may end up getting cut, but the clothing is all there. If you're wondering why Neku is so, oh yeah, and then victory codes. I want to say that one thing I do honestly want is for Neku's victory quote to include, stuff like open up your senses, or when you trigger the final smash, his quote is another world awaits. I think it would all be really, really cool. So if you're wondering more in detail about who various people are and why Neku is so interesting, I'd recommend you pick up The Wilderness with You. It is available on Android, and you can get a copy on the DS. It got taken off the Apple Store, unfortunately, recently. Something to do with updates, and I'm not sure where else you can get it, but definitely pick it up, because not only does that game deserve lots of love, it needs it. So, thank you for listening, and I hope to see you all again next week. Oh, I'm also going to do a house cleaning video for my Kingdom Hearts 3 series. There was just a couple of things I wanted to add in or clear up. I'd never went into much more detail with the Le Fantôme or the Bill Cipher boss, and I have a couple of characters I wanted to put in that I didn't, and then there's some world stuff. Anyway, point being is I'm going to do a cleanup video. I hope to see you then, and I will also put a link to the video listed in the subscription in case you're wondering what in the world I'm talking about. Thank you, and I hope you have a good night.